Hey, on my Travel Wins podcast today, I'm lucky to have Todd Eldredge, the 3-time Olympian, 6-time U.S. champ, actual world champion, and inductee in the Hall of Fame of the U.S. figure skating. How are you today, Todd?
Doing great, Pete.
So thankful to get some time from you. I know you're a busy coach now down in Orange County, so how's everything going for you?
Fantastic, actually. Yeah, the new Great Park ice rink in Irvine is fantastic. I mean, the Ducks did a great job with putting together a fantastic facility and great programming, and it's a lot of fun to be able to coach down there and be a part of that the growth of skating and hockey down here in this area.
And it's crazy to think that and I always joke with him. I have a really good friend I've known for 30 years. He's born and raised in Toronto, Canada, and he lives in Denver now. And I said, hey, welcome down to the home of hockey. I go, if you ever come over to Southern California and Las Vegas, he hates it because he's a big Toronto Maple Leafs fan.
Yeah. When you say the home of hockey, he's probably like, wait, what? Toronto's the home of hockey.
I'm like, well, we got more Stanley Cups in Southern California than Toronto, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So that tends to get him every time. So I'm sure he'll listen to this episode.
Yeah.
So, as a world champion, the 3-time Olympics, I mean, you moved around quite a bit growing up and all that. If you have a little background of your skating upbringing, because you traveled even as a youth.
Oh yeah, I traveled quite a bit. I mean, for skating, especially back, when I was younger, there weren't a lot of, top coaches, especially where I grew up. I mean, I grew up on Cape Cod, so I mean,
yeah.
for to be in a small area, small town, it's just not a huge thing there. I mean, hockey's big in Boston and everything, and I did a lot of skating up in Boston as well. But at that time, some of the better coaches were in different areas. And when I was 10 years old, my parents were like, this is going pretty well. And, if we got to go get you somewhere that you can get better coaching and that kind of thing, then we're going to figure that out. So I found a coach that I had for pretty much most of my career, and he was coaching down in Philadelphia. And so I went down there and lived with a family down there and followed him around the country pretty much for the better part of 30 plus years. So I lived in Philly, trained there for about 4 or 5 years, and then went out to Colorado Springs, which is kind of the Olympics, the home of the Olympics, yeah. Right?
Yep.
And trained out there for a few years at the Broadmoor, and then from there moved to San Diego, which was awesome. And unfortunately, skating's not as popular, and ice time isn't as popular down in San Diego. So as things kind of ramped up and I started getting out and traveling around and winning national championships and getting to the worlds and all that kind of fun stuff, needed a little bit better training atmosphere. And that's what kind of took me to Detroit. And that's where I spent most of my training days in Detroit for about 17 years.
Traveling around for you is just what you did, right?
It's just part of the deal. Yeah. I mean, not just for where I was living at the time, but for competing, and you're doing competitions all over the world, and all over the U.S. and doing not just competing but doing shows. I mean, I toured for 10 plus years with Champions on Ice, and that was mostly during the summer times. But and then once I turned professional and stopped the competitive route, then I joined Stars on Ice and toured with them for 11 years. So it was a lot of time spent on the road, whether it be on a airplane or on a train or on a bus or in a car or whatever it was. I pretty much did a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
And now you're coaching, so you're repeating the process all over again with young people.
From the other side of the board, but yeah, yeah, it's actually been a little bit better. My wife and we moved out here to California a couple years ago, and since moving out here and kind of raising our kids and the whole bit, I haven't quite traveled as much, which has been kind of nice. After traveling for all those years, it's been kind of nice. But I'm sure at some point, once we start kind of developing some really good talent in this area and some great skaters, that those journeys and those travels back overseas will start happening again, and I'll be back on the road and traveling around the world again.
Well, yeah, I know. like in Torrance was I think it was Christy Yamaguchi, and
he was actually up in San Francisco mostly. He trained down here. So there's Sasha Cohen was over in Torrance.
That's it.
So many people.
Michelle Kwan.
Michelle Kwan, huge history of skaters here in this Los Angeles area.
Yeah, Adam Rippon from like Los Alamitos, I think, or somewhere around there.
Yeah, he was up in Long Beach area. Yeah. They trained Lakewood. Mariah Bell and Nathan Chen both train off and on here at the same rink that I coach at. So I mean, there's a huge laundry list of great skaters and great coaches that are either in this area at our rink or in other rinks in the area that it's definitely a very popular sport, and it's done great and represented this area really well.
Maybe you don't know, but why do you think that is? I mean, it seems kind of odd that, and I joke about the home of hockey because obviously a lot of the professional hockey players are from Canada. They just happen to end up on a LA Kings team or the Ducks.
Right.
But I mean, you have some legitimate world-class, world champion, Olympic champion athletes coming from a non-ice area. Well,
I think part of it is the success breeds success kind of thing. So if you've got some skaters who are doing well and they train in this area, and there's great coaches that want to be here because the facilities are great and the weather's not too bad either. And the scenery's pretty good. I can't beat the sunsets and the ocean and all that, but I think, like I said, that success breeds success. You get a little taste of it and you see it, and a lot of skaters look at it and go, well, hey, these guys are doing great out there.
So I'll go there too.
They some great coaches. We're going to go out there too and see if it works for us. It doesn't work for everybody, but it's one of those kind of things that it's really worked really well for a lot of people in this area. And that's one of the reasons why we moved here, because of the facility and the Ducks' commitment to trying to help grow figure skating, not just their own hockey programs, but figure skating as well in this area. So
I thought it was for a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
I see that thing flying around every once in a while. I drive down there. I'm like, what? What's going on?
I know, right? It's fine. I haven't been up in it yet, but I know some people who have, and it's pretty cool. I think you can see all kinds of, you can see really far apparently. But yeah, it's a unique, it's just a unique area down here. I mean, we were talking a little bit ago about just the whole area, how different it is from many, many years ago. You lived down in this area and lived down in San Diego years ago. I mean, it's just so different. It's grown so much. And, the population, the community down here, very Asian community. There's a lot of, different ethnicities, obviously, but a very big Asian community. And now figure skating is really big in Asia, Japan and Korea and China. And it's just really exploded over there. So I think the popularity of what their skaters have done has, I think, kind of really springboarded the whole idea of skating and wanting to skate in this area. So, I mean, the Ducks kind of hit a home run with where they put their facility as far as the growth and the potential future growth of what it can do here.
See, I never would have put that together, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I still have friends that live in Irvine, and it's a heavy Asian population, so I never would have.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow, that's kind of cool, actually. Yeah, I mean, I used to, right when I graduated high school and all that, I went to Saddleback Junior College, and the Blue Angels used to fly their show every year out of El Toro.
Yeah.
And we would go up on the roofs of the office I worked at in Lake Forest, right off El Toro Road, or Lake Forest Road. They would be so low, they actually would blow out the skylights of homes.
Oh, geez.
And so they had to make them come in at a steeper angle because they were blowing out the skylights.
Oh, God.
They were low. I was like, ooh, that was cool.
Yeah, I remember training down in San Diego and, driving by Miramar and watching those guys out and around. Yeah, same kind of concept. I mean, it's not something you see everywhere you go, but it's pretty amazing. I'm sure watching the Blue Angels do their thing would be pretty cool. And seeing them in the air show down there, but to kind of see it on a training basis day by day, that'd be pretty wild. Yeah,
they train out of El Centro, and which is more towards the desert.
Yeah,
and because I have an account down there for my work, and I drive down to 8, and every once in a while I'll see them. And then the last time I went down there, I saw some F-35s flying by, which are the new stealth fighters. And I was like, whoa, I had to stop and watch them fly around. Cool. Yeah. I don't know if you've watched Independence Day since you've moved to Irvine, but it's kind of weird seeing Will Smith say, yeah, I got to get over to El Toro. And then you're like, oh, that's not El Toro.
That's where, right here.
And it's
now it's a skating rink and soccer fields and baseball fields.
Exactly. Exactly. When you were traveling back in, in the mid 90s, you won the world championship in, I think, 96.
Yep.
Could you imagine now, 25 years later, what do you think that as far as technology, traveling's, in my opinion, is totally different as far as.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's so hard to compare. I mean, trying to tell people, I brought my Walkman or my Discman on the plane.
And they're like,
all the
what?
CDs and all the tape, whatever.
Batteries.
Extra batteries. Exactly. Extra batteries. All the different things that we had to do back in the day. Luggage just have wheels on it.
Oh, that's right.
Just all of that stuff. It's just such a different concept. I've got a funny story from my very first international trip when I kind of finally made it. I had won the junior nationals, and it was my time to go to junior worlds. And the junior worlds that year were being held in Sarajevo, which was the fall, like a year after the Winter Olympics were there in '84.
Okay.
And so I was young, and being my first time kind of going there and getting outside of the United States, my trip started. I was living in Colorado Springs at the time.
Okay.
So my trip took me to New York first, and then from New York we went to Zagreb. Where did we go first? I think we went to Amsterdam, and then from Amsterdam to Zagreb. And weather was horrible. And at that time, we traveled together as like a whole team. So like all the skaters, parents, coaches, team leaders, everybody.
Yeah.
So it was a huge swarm of skating people all going the same place. And so when we got to New York, we had to change terminals. And of course, changing terminals back then was meaning you pretty much walked from terminal to terminal.
Yeah.
There was no shuttle services. It just wasn't any of that stuff. So we carrying all our bags, because we were new to this whole travel international thing. So we had extra stuff that we totally didn't need.
You're schlepping it, yeah.
And so we're like, okay, we got all our bags and we're trying to walk from terminal to terminal, and got on the next plane to Amsterdam, from Amsterdam then to Zagreb. And just the whole concept was amazing. When we got to Zagreb, we were supposed to take a plane into Sarajevo. And again, as the whole team. Like, I don't even know how many people, to be honest with you. There was probably at least 30 of us.
Yeah.
And so when we got there, it was terrible weather. So there was snow up in the mountains in Sarajevo, so visibility was bad. It was foggy, so we couldn't fly. So our team leader miraculously got us on a train from Zagreb to Sarajevo, which is about a 7-hour train ride. And so we're in the train station in Zagreb, which, of course, back then, we're talking 1985, a lot of things were very different over there at that time.
Yeah.
And so, the wall was still up. All that was still going on. So it was a very, very different world. And, we're all 12, 13-year-old kids traveling through this with a swarm of 30 people. And so we got on this train, 7 hours, one bathroom on the train, and the toilet was broken. And so that was a challenge in itself. But we all had separate little, little cars, or whatever you want to call them, in our little room in the car.
I gotcha.
So we were all in our little cubbies, if you want to call it that. And the door would close, and it was just us in our little thing. And so while we're on the train, we're traveling this whole way. We make several stops. And as we stop each time, we pick up more and more people. Well, we picked up a lot of different soldiers who were traveling between whatever they were going to. Well, there were three of them that decided that our car and our little cubby area was where they wanted to sit. So they came in, they opened the door, they sat right down with us. And, well, you know, they didn't have a ticket for that area, but they just sat right down.
Like, I'm home. I'm here.
We of course don't speak that language, and they didn't speak very good English. So it's just kind of like, okay, or what's going to happen here? I don't know. We're 13-year-old kids just sitting here with some soldiers from
wherever,
former Yugoslavia. It's like, okay, yep, okay, let's hope we get there, guys. So it was a 7-hour trip, no bathrooms, soldiers in our little cars, and it was somehow we made it there. We got on the bus from the train station to the hotel. The bus, you couldn't see probably 20 feet in front of the bus because the fog was so heavy. And so we were frightened. We went up this mountain road to get to where we needed to go, and you couldn't see anything. And I don't know how this guy drove this road, to be honest with you. I was sitting in the back just freaking out because I would see like the edge of the cliff, and I'm like, does this guy know where the road is? So anyway, we finally got there after probably a good 22 hours of travel. And that was kind of my introduction to international travel. So after that, anything was a piece of cake.
You know, as a parent now, I think I feel more sorry for your coaches and the parents that were on that train than the kids.
Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine their thoughts. You know, I mean, our 13-year-old kid or a 12-year-old is in the back of these whatever soldiers and whatever's going on this train, and we're making this whole trek. And I feel for the team leaders who had to rebook and change all of those people onto a train from a plane and the whole. Oh my gosh!
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, with technology, it's you know, like my daughters are 20, you know, in their mid-20s. And I try to explain to them, I go, look, you get text messages saying, oh, your plane's 45 minutes late.
Right.
I show up at the airport, get dropped off, and they go, oh, you got 2-hour wait, 2-hour delay. And I'm like, oh, God, I wish I would have known.
Yeah, right. Right.
You know,
I wish I would have known. Or you're stuck and you can't contact anybody because the 3 payphones are busy and you don't have enough quarters or whatever.
Well, yeah, now you can get stuck in Zagreb, and then you can just go on your phone and check out their flights and check out their,
rebook yourself.
Yeah, you can check everything.
Right.
And then on your 20-hour flight, you can watch live TV and you can watch different movies and shows and music. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's really amazing to think, and it's not that long. I mean, you're talking 20 years to have that concept back in the day. And I mean, of course, people that are 20, 30 years older that traveled back then, they're like, oh, they don't even know,
It's all relative.
Right. So it's been interesting. I mean, and having traveled that and then having traveled beyond that, obviously normal travel, over the years, it became so much easier. And then it's at times become harder, with all the restrictions after 9/11 with the flight, and, all the lines being a lot longer. I mean, it still was much easier because you were connected, through the internet with everything. So you knew what to expect. However, it still was a lot longer process, and it's been, it's a lot better now, but it's still there, but travel is definitely a thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I look at travel. I mean, traveling is completely different. I mean, I for the most part, I drive for my work, my day job, and my territory is California, and then I have Hawaii. But for me to sit in my car and go, hey, what time am I going to make it to San Luis Obispo? And I can put in my GPS, it factors in traffic and lights, and
right.
And I'm like, it's usually within 5-10 minutes. It's a 3.5 hour drive, or 4.5 or 5, depending.
Yeah. Traffic says exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, I still remember 15, 20 years ago driving, and I tell my account, I go, I'm planning on getting there at 2, and all of a sudden you'd hit an accident. Well, you'd have to get off the freeway, find a payphone, call your account, say, hey, I just sat through an extra hour and a half of traffic, and now I just took another 20 minutes to find a payphone to let you know I'm running late.
Right. Yeah. The day-to-day conveniences of how connected we are and how readily we can get whatever information we need. It's changed things dramatically. It's great. I mean, especially for people, for people that travel a lot, just that, connectivity is, you just can't beat it. To get any delays or anything going on, you can immediately contact whoever you're supposed to meet or whatever you're supposed to be doing and say, hey, look, I'm stuck here, or, I'm on the next flight, and okay, no problem. Change our plans and make things work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a ice skating coach, I wonder how much do you use the technology? Because you can do Skype lessons. You can do things you couldn't do 15 years ago.
Yeah, I've done that a little bit, and actually, it's funny that you bring that up with everything that's going on right now.
Yeah.
All the rinks are closed, so nobody's really skating right now. But we're doing some off ice stuff, and with some of the kids that keep it in small groups kind of stuff. We'll come over here to the park and kind of keep our distance and do our off ice training a little bit. But, there's some kids that can't make it or don't want to come out and don't want to make it. So you just pop on FaceTime or Skype or whatever. And
that's so cool.
There you go. We're connected, and we can still kind of keep that idea of skating and training off the ice at least going while we're at this, in this part of our
quandary
crazy right now. Who knows what's happening, right?
Yeah, don't ask me. I watch the news every day and go, what?
Yeah, it changes every 10 minutes. It seems like anyway. Well, groups of 10. Now it's groups of 5. Now it's groups of who knows what's going to be. And we're on a lockdown here, and I
hung out with my daughter yesterday, and she works at a ranch up in Malibu. And my wife and I went up there, and we hung out with her, and then we come back. And by the time we got back, they're like, "Oh, it's stay at home now." We're like, what?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because it's not really the same. It is now, but it isn't really the same everywhere
At all.
Like there's places that are like that, and even some places in the same state that are like that. And then other places like, yeah, just, make sure you're only doing this, or you're going out for this, or, it seems very, it's definitely not uniform. Like the governments and the state governments didn't say, this is it, done, here it is. It seems like it's kind of all over the place. So it's been interesting actually down here in Orange County, because they put out a notice, gosh, what was it? Wednesday or Thursday? I think it was yesterday, that said, shelter in place and all that stuff. And then they rescinded that and changed it and said, well, no, that wasn't what we meant. We only meant this. And, it's not quite as strict. And so you can still go out if you need to do essential things. And, and I get it. It's right now, it's just so up in the air with, how strict they need to be with what's spreading and how fast it's spreading, and try and contain it before it becomes a even worse scenario.
Like you said, I have friends literally around the country, and even other sales reps that do what I do for the same company. And so I'm talking to my VP of sales, and he's like, what are they doing in California? I go, dude, I know. I'm not supposed to leave my house, and all my stores are closed, so no more shipping. Don't ship anything. And they're like, what? And I'm like, and I have friends that do what I do, and they're in other states opening up new accounts and traveling and seeing stores, and I'm like, making money.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there you go, right?
And I'm stuck at home going, oh, I only get paid when they ship product, and if they can't ship, I don't get paid. So,
yeah, I'm with you on that one. I go to unless the rink's open, I go to the rink. I don't get anything.
Exactly. So
definitely a scary world. But.
Yeah, and then my daughters are in the same boat now. So, what do you think is like if you were to come back and be 17, 18 in today's world of skating, how do you think it would be different?
Oof. Well, I look at the kids that I work with and the kids that I train. I look at the tools that we have available, and again, we talk about technology, but the tools that we have available to train them, with, different apps on the phones or the iPads that we can do slow motion, video work. And then we have other, off ice and on ice, like harnesses that we can help assist them with jumping and getting feelings for certain things. Like I said, the tools that we have now to be able to train and help these kids, excel in what they're doing at a faster rate, is just something that didn't exist back in the day. And it's funny because you talk to these kids and I'll say, hey, this, they just look at it as the thing we call pull harness, basically like a fishing pole.
I know it, yeah.
You lift the kids. And so I do that with a lot of the kids. And I say, guys, this is great. And they're like, it's okay, whatever. Yeah, like they take it for granted. I'm like, we didn't have this. Like,
no,
we used to just go fall hard. We get go fall hard again. And they're like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, that's how it works. Like, so you want to go and fall, or do you want me to lift you up there and help you out? They're like, oh yeah, please do. Please lift me. I don't want to fall that hard. And, it's funny because it is very different, but, it's definitely been an interesting thing to kind of, I'll even say, look at it from their perspective of they just, assume that this is the way it's always been.
Right.
Oh wait, you didn't have this and you had a Walkman. What's that? What's the, what are these things? Like, so it's been a, not only just coaching what they're doing now, but like kind of history lessons throughout, the lessons that I teach. And, we used to do back in the day, we had compulsory figures. So we did the figure eight.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist anymore. And the kids are like, wait, you had to do that for 3 hours a day? Like, that's boring. I'm like, yeah, it was boring. But
it
we
sucked.
did. And you couldn't play music, and you couldn't. Really? I'm like, yeah, that's just the way it was. So it's been kind of funny. As an older, and it's funny because I'm not that old.
I know.
As an older coach, from the standpoint of when I was skating in the era that I skated in, they just have a totally different appreciation for, I guess, the sport and where it came from and where it's gotten to now. So it's been fun to be able to kind of teach them about different things like that. But yeah, it's just it's very, very different.
I'm going to ask you a question only for my wife's sake, because I don't know anything about this. What is do you see what is that, a composite boot?
Yeah.
Making a big difference?
There's different, well, it's interesting because there's some of the technology that they've put into boots and blades, which to me is a lot behind the curve. For it, when I think of other sports, and you think I'm a golfer, so you think of golf, and every year they come out with a new whatever. It's supposed to go this much farther, and it's supposed to do this, supposed to do that, and all the materials they're using, different things. But skating boots have remained pretty constant throughout all of it. I mean, they're using different materials now. With some of the blades that they have, they've got different steel, but some of them do. And then other ones have like a carbon fiber that they use to lighten the blade. Some of the boots are made even carbon fiber. Some are made of plastics and different things. And, it's just all to make it lighter so you can jump higher. The biggest thing that I've seen that I don't know if we'll see it, a couple of generations down the road, but the boots are super stiff. And one thing that, as a skater myself personally, I always like to have the skate kind of mold and work with me a little bit.
See, that's what my wife
says.
Yeah.
Getting my edges, going on an outside or an inside edge and kind of using my knees to get deeper edges. And nowadays the boots are so stiff that a lot of these kids can't do that. So it's as coaching them, it's actually a challenge because I'm like, well, I want you to do this, but I get the limitation of the boot doesn't really allow you to do it as much sometimes. So it's, there are some skaters that doesn't matter what they're wearing on their feet, they're just going to get it
Okay.
and it's going to be okay. But it definitely, for a lot of the younger skaters, it's very limiting. I mean, the support is there for the jumps and for the landings, but I don't know if it's because the boot itself is so much stiffer, if it's going to, I guess, I don't want to say weaken their muscles, but I guess take a little bit away from the strength that they are required to have in order to do some of these things themselves. So I think it's, I don't know.
Like I said, that's my wife. I mean, she's a leather boot person.
Yeah.
And she just rails on the composites because
I always was too. I mean, I always wore a boot company called Harlick out of San Francisco, and I changed years later to one of the composites, and it's more of a moldable plastic that they use. It's called Graf, is the name of the company that makes them, out of Switzerland, and the lightness of that boot is amazing, and that the plastic molds pretty well, and it can kind of work with you, more similar to what a leather boot would do. But now they're doing these Idea boots and other brands that are just much stiffer. I mean, the concept is that the tongue is supposed to flex a little bit more to give you more spring, but I don't know. It's definitely that technology has really changed.
Now, is that just chasing the bigger jumps, and getting to the quads faster?
Yeah. I mean, it is. And like the pitch, like they even like the angle of your foot in the boot has changed a lot more.
Oh, wow.
Like I put on a brand new pair of somebody else's skates and I felt like I was going to fall on my face because it's different than what my boots feel like. So, just the pitch of the foot, and I guess it puts you more on the ball of the foot to get more spring. I don't know, but I think that's kind of their concept. But it just feels like skating across the ice and gliding across the ice is more difficult.
And since you're a golfer, I didn't know that, so I'll ask you like this. I got to be a pretty good golfer, and so when I would go out with my friends, they'd be like, "Oh, my club, I need new clubs." And I said, "Let me see your club," and I'd hit it, and I go, "That's not the club."
And then they were like, "Oh yeah, sure it is."
And I'm like, I can't hit my 3-wood. It's not good. I hit it, and they'd be like, "Oh."
Yep. Yep.
Is that similar to? I mean, like, obviously, like if I hit blades and I'm used to cavity back, it's different. Like I'm off. I'll be off. I won't be as accurate. But I mean, I can still stroke a 7-iron pretty well.
Yeah.
Is that the same way with skates? Like
it is. I mean, you think of if you picked up a persimmon wood compared to now, it's going to feel very different. And I mean that's what a leather skate would feel like compared to these composite boots nowadays. So it is very different. But again, if you're a good skater and you can put on anything for the most part and still be able to
make
do
it
this
work.
Stuff.
Yeah. I gotcha. Have you played Strawberry Farms?
I did years ago. I haven't played it recently, but I did years ago.
Okay.
But I play over at Oak Creek once in a while. I don't get out much.
You have kids in school age.
Yeah, kids on the ice, and so it's keeping me busy.
Oh, I guess that's the good part of it. You brought up the Walkman, which I haven't in 90 episodes. I haven't brought up a Walkman, so I appreciate that. What was your
carrying all the tape, the big cassette case, and the whole? Because we played for our music, our routines we skated to. It was on tape, right? So we bring our tapes with us. So and if you wanted to listen to any other music, you had to make a mixtape, if you will.
Yeah.
But you had to make a mixtape, and you put all your favorite songs on it, and you have to play it on the, like you say, carry extra batteries to make sure it didn't die.
Yeah.
And so it's much more cumbersome back then.
Well, I remember, like my daughter was like, "How do you know the song so well?" because this is a 35-year-old, 40-year-old song. I go, because I had to listen to it because that was the one tape I brought with me.
Right.
So I listened to that song 8 times. They're like,
and you take it out and turn it over, and right.
Yeah, and you listen to the entire album, not just a song.
Right. You just flip through all the different songs for all the different artists, and that was.
And mixtape was huge.
Oh yeah,
that was like big. You were balling.
Yeah.
Now I've got 2,000, 2,500 songs, and I can access at any given time, and find my Spotify channel.
Right.
That's just crazy. But when you traveled, what I was going to ask, how did you fill up your time? Was it resting? Was it sleeping? Was it reading? I mean, obviously, when you're at school, maybe doing some schoolwork. Yeah. How did you fill up your time?
You bring your books, you bring your schoolwork with you when you're on the road. You've got to go to a competition or something like that. But, even after, oh God. And again, it's technologically such a vast range of when I was traveling at a young age and when I traveled because I was touring, the different things that you had to bring or you brought with you. I mean, I was never a big reader. I didn't read a lot of books. I mean, here and there.
Yeah.
I was in a car, so car magazines were a big thing for me. Schoolwork was a big deal. And then obviously, music and listening to tapes and, just a lot of what I tried to do. I mean, obviously when you're sitting on a plane for hours and hours and hours, you're doing your schoolwork, you listen to whatever music you want to listen to, trying to sleep because airplane seats are always so comfortable for that. It's just, later on, it's great because, I mean, like I say, you bring your iPad or your phone and watching movies all the time and, catching up on, I remember going to Japan one time and for some shows. And I didn't sleep really well most of the time on airplanes.
Okay.
But so I got kind of hung up when the new TV series back then it was new, but 24 was a big thing.
Yeah.
So I had missed a few seasons of it, and somebody told me about it, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll download these seasons and watch it on the plane. Well, that was a great thing and a nightmare at the same time because every episode I just couldn't stop. Like, you get to the end and the cliffhanger, and I got to watch the next episode.
Yeah.
And it was great on the airplane. 14 hours on a plane, you just keep cranking through them. But once I got there, it was difficult to adjust to the time change because I just kept going. I was like, I got to watch.
Oh, I gotcha.
Watch the next one. I got to watch the next one. I got to watch the next one. So, but
you got there, and all of a sudden it's 2 a.m. or something.
Oh yeah. Well, and at that point, you had no idea what time it is because your clock's all over the place. And that was one of the things I probably struggled with the most, traveling both to Europe or to Asia. Time change,
I've heard more people say it's worse going to Japan versus going to Europe.
Yeah, going to Europe was a little bit easier. And being in Detroit, I was a little bit time change closer there, so it was a little bit easier getting adjusted that way. But yeah, Japan was always difficult. Like I could have been there. I mean, I did the Olympics in '98 in Nagano, and we were there for about 3 weeks, and I don't think I really ever fully adjusted in that entire time. It takes me a long time to really adjust to that, and it's just and that's I would probably say that is the most difficult thing about travel for me personally. I don't know. I mean, in your travels, was that something for you that was not difficult, or you travel internationally that much, or
no? But for me, I still have a hard time sleeping in new beds, and whenever we open up a new store, and we opened up a store in Chattanooga, and I flew into Nashville, which is Midwest time. But when you drive to Chattanooga, you cross the date line, or from Midwest to Mountain Time to Eastern. So I lost an hour there, and it was the day of the time change.
Okay, nice.
So it was a 4-hour swing, and then I had to remember that my flight leaving Nashville, I had to go back an hour. You're always doing the backward stuff. And then it's, even like I go to Denver 4 times a year for a corporate office meeting, and it's only an hour, and it's not that, or is it 2 hours? But it still messes me up because like it'll be midnight there, and I'm like, it's 10 o'clock. It's like,
yeah.
And then I got to wake up at 7, which is 5 a.m. So
right.
It messes me up too. I'm terrible with it. I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
And I'm so tired of hearing about Japan. My wife and I booked our first trip ever to Japan for April 17th.
Oh, oops.
Oops. Yeah, but my last 3 guests, including you, are all, oh yeah, Japan this, Japan that. I'm like, oh, you guys suck.
Well, depending on when you get to go, it's great. Yeah. Were you guys going to be there for a long time, or
8 or 9 days, I guess.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
You're going to do 5 days in Tokyo, and then take the bullet train down to Kyoto for a couple more days.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's great. There's some beautiful temples and different things down in Kyoto.
Yeah, and that's where the geishas are.
Yeah.
So
the people are fantastic, and they're super nice, just awesome. Not just for what we do in skating and fans, but just helping people out and trying to accommodate anything and everything you need and help you out with whatever you need.
All my business travelers have said that about Japan. All of them are like, the people in Japan are terrific for tourists and guests.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. We'd love to go. I mean, with the kids, and they've never been. My wife is half Japanese, so her mom is Japanese, so it's she's always wanted to go and kind of see it. She's not a big fan of traveling that far, so I don't know how the plane ride will work. But
tell me about it. My wife's the same boat. Like, flying for me is not. I don't care. It doesn't. I mean, whatever. Yeah, but my wife's. She's like, we're gonna have to get some drinks in me before I can sit on the plane for 10 hours straight. I had to book a direct flight. But we had a cheaper flight, but it took you into Beijing.
Oh wow!
We booked this in December, and
right.
But so I looked up a flight because for me, I don't care. I mean, just whatever. She's like, hold on, that's like an 18-hour flight now. Because of the layover and everything in Beijing. She goes, I'm not doing that. Right. Can't do it. She was a train wreck going to Hawaii, and that's a 6-hour flight. So we'll see.
That's where my wife would rather stop in Hawaii.
That's what she wanted to do.
And then because you get it's not that long a trip, but it's whatever, and then it's the next kind of the halfway, if you will. It's not really, but
it's pretty close.
That's the concept anyway. If it's the halfway point, so at least I don't have to be in a plane as long. I mean, I'd rather get on it and sit there and go.
That's
get there
me.
in one shot.
Yeah. Well, so I had to upgrade to the business economy or whatever.
Yeah.
So we got bigger seats and all that. So we were all set, man.
Traveling to Japan, traveling that far, being in a business class or business economy, huge difference.
Yeah.
When you're back in the back and you're wedged in there, no matter if you're on an aisle seat or not, it's still tight. Makes a huge difference when you're 14 hours in that.
No, we were set, man. We had the front row of the business economy, so we had the extra leg room. It's only 2 seats in the aisle, so it's just me and her. I had the window seat, and she was on the aisle seat because that's what she likes. And
perfect.
Yeah, it's all done.
Well, hopefully you get to take that trip at some point.
Well, we wanted to, because the Olympics are we're supposed to be this summer. I don't know if they're still going. It's up in the air, but we wanted to get there before the Olympics, and before the rain and all that. So
there's actually a lot of skaters that are were thinking about coming here to this area from Japan during the Olympics because a lot of their rinks are shut down.
Oh, yeah.
For travel and logistics and different things, and some of the rinks they're using for other things. And
sure.
So they're getting kind of uprooted. So they were thinking, well, we'll go somewhere. California's the closest place to get to from where they are.
Skate, yeah.
thinking about coming over here and all that. But, who knows, again, what's happening now, if the Olympics are still happening, if they're getting delayed, or if they're, who knows?
Because I've talked to a couple of Olympians, a synchronized swimmer and some others, beach volleyball players, and a BMX rider, the gold medalist Connor Fields. And he just qualified. He became national champion again, and this was going to be his third Olympics, and it was going to be his farewell tour, whatever, last event was going to be this Olympics.
Wow.
He was going to retire after this Olympics. And now he's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
It's interesting. You look at, the figure skating, the world championships were just canceled.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be this week. And actually I was supposed to be there. It was in Montreal, and it was supposed to be this week, and it obviously was canceled, and they were thinking about postponing it till the fall, and then they're like, we're just going to cancel it. So, those kids work all year and build to that moment, and there it is, gone for the whole year. Yeah.
Right.
That's the...
Yeah, you know what it's like. Imagine 2 or 3 months before your last Olympics, and just going, nope.
Yeah, especially, the World Championship is one thing, because obviously it happens every year, but but for the Olympics, if it gets canceled, it's another 4 years for those guys, and for a lot of them, it was again for him, it was going to be his last one. So to think, should I wait another 4 years and try and stick it out to do it again, or move on, or whatever? There's some people that are kind of on the fence about that, and especially some athletes, depending on what their age is and their sport. They might have been at a later, age range for what they were going to do, and it was going to be their last time to do it, because the 4 years is going to take them too far in, and they just don't physically think they can get that far and sustain what they need to be competitive. So to have that gone, tough. Well,
as you know, 4 years in the athletic world is a long time at that level.
Yeah. It's funny because it seems like it goes by pretty quick, but physically for your body, it's, and I look at it from a figure skating perspective, what these guys are doing now, and with all the quads that they're throwing all over the place. To try and sustain that year in, year out for 4 straight years between Olympics, that's a lot of pounding, a lot of stress on the body.
It's a lot of potential hip replacements.
Well, unfortunately, I had one of those myself, so I know what that's all about. But it really is. It's kind of a pretty wild time.
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do.
I don't know.
Let's see. Well, hey, so what I so appreciate the time. What's the best way for my listeners and fans to follow you or see what you got going on?
Well, if they want, they can come on down to the rink here in Orange County. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. Just, you can look me up on my name at Todd Eldredge, in both. And, I've got a Facebook fan page out there. And, I actually just right before this whole coronavirus thing started, just connected with Airbnb. They're doing a thing with Olympic athletes for doing experiences, because it's like a new thing for Airbnb to be doing all these experiences. So I just partnered up with them to offer an experience down here at the rink, come out and skate with me and have lunch and do this whole thing. And it literally just got published and put out on their website, I think a day or two before everything started shutting down.
Oh my God.
So I haven't done anything yet with it, but at some point I will, and it'll be kind of a fun little endeavor to.
Do you have to stay in an Airbnb down there to do this, or can you just?
No, you can just book it as kind of an experience. They're doing a lot. It's not necessarily like you have to stay in the area. You can be local, and it's it's different things that they're offering, and they're starting to partner up with the Olympic Committee and do this with different Olympians around the world.
Nice.
It's pretty cool. I kind of want to do it with some of the other Olympians, and
exactly. See what that's like.
I like to go skiing with Lindsey Vonn, or go do this with this person, or go, any of that kind of stuff. It'd be pretty cool.
Man, I'm with you on that. That's my wife's. When I told her where you're, because she was like, "Oh, where's he living now, in Detroit still?" Or and I go, "No, he's in Irvine." And she's like, "What?" And she goes, "We'll have to go down and skate." And I'm like, "All right."
Yeah. Well, when the rink opens back up, yeah, come on down.
Yeah, we've been roller skating a lot.
Yeah.
Not rollerblading, roller skating. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, the quad wheels, huh?
Yeah. And it's been a blast. I hadn't been on roller skates in 40 years. So
yeah, I was gonna say I haven't been on roller skates in a very long time.
Yeah.
Roller blades, I do that once in a while back and forth to the rink, but roller skates, yikes, I don't know.
So I read that you're a vegan athlete.
Yeah, my wife has always been a very healthy eater, and she's kind of converted myself and actually our whole family a bit to be healthier and
sure
a little bit better with what we're putting in our bodies. I kind of wish I had done it earlier.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I'm in the same boat. I'm more plant based. I'm not a vegan.
Yeah,
but definitely more plant based and very much more aware of what I eat.
Yeah, I mean, it's really become a lot more popular. I mean, there's a lot more alternatives, for like with plant-based foods and different things that, that are available, and I mean, there just weren't a lot of things. I mean, California is a little bit more unique in that. I mean, when I lived in Detroit, that wasn't as big a thing, but
still isn't.
It probably still isn't. Yeah.
Not in Detroit, not in the Midwest.
Yeah. It's definitely become, a much easier way of living.
Yeah.
And, just energy wise in my body, it feels so much better. I wish I had done it when I was competing, and who knows what I would have felt like, but,
well, that's what I was going to ask you. Is that something you talk to your kids about as far as, I mean, not so much, be a vegan, but, diet?
Absolutely. And, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm going to Starbucks to get this whatever drink it is that has all kinds of stuff in it," and, or I'm going here, I'm going to have Cheetos or whoever, whatever it might be. I'm like, well, try this, or do if you guys want to have be fit and be in great shape and be able to and I tell them, I say, look, I feel so much better now than I did at certain times in my career that I wish I had done it.
Yeah.
And, just, it's more of that kind of for your information, you do with it as you choose. But, I definitely encourage them to really eat as healthy as possible, because and it's that whole myth of, I need to eat lots of meat. I need to eat lots of this in order to have protein and all that stuff. Well, it's funny. I don't know if you've seen that movie, The Game Changer. But, it's a great film. And, they talk about, where does the protein and the meat come from? The plants that the animals eat. So, why skip the milk and just eat the plant yourself, right?
I have the same talk. And it was so interesting because when I talked to you, I don't know about you. In the 80s, we didn't talk about food. Eat more. That's what my coach just said. Eat more.
More eggs, more this, more that, drink milk, all
just
that stuff.
Eat more. Like, all right. But I played football and I wrestled, so it was like, one coach is telling me to cut weight and the other one's telling me to gain weight. And
yeah, you were on both sides of it there.
Yeah, the wrestling coach was like, "Oh, you need to cut more weight," and I, until I pass out. And anyways, but that's the '80s, and now I look at it and go, "Man, what a plethora of information there is out on diet now." You can just Google, you can YouTube about food and protein and synthesis.
Right. Well, that's the thing. You talk about, technology. Everything's at your fingertips with, search it on Google, right?
Yeah.
And look this up and look that up, and you can find a bazillion different things about everything. And of course, people on both sides of it saying, well, you should do this and you should do that. And you just kind of, siphon through the information yourself and go, well, okay, this makes sense. It's one of those, you try it, and that's what I usually encourage my kids, just try it, see what you think, try it for a couple of weeks, see if it works for you and how you feel, cause you got to give a little bit of time, but, and I've had a few of them come back and say, oh, this stuff doesn't taste too bad. It actually tastes pretty good. I didn't think it could taste that good. And I'm like, just because it's vegan, just because it has that word, doesn't mean that it has to taste bad.
Well, that's why I think they came out with plant-based, because there was such a
Right.
negative connotation with vegetarian and vegan.
Right.
And you say
Right.
plant-based, and you're like, oh, well, that's hip, that's cool, whatever.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm the same way. I have a friend I work with. He's 26, or he's turned 27, and his dad just had health issues, heart issues. And
Yeah.
I had talked about plant-based before, and he's like, he's 25, 26-year-old. I was like, yeah, whatever, which was what I would have done.
Right.
And his dad had some heart issues, and he goes, I go, so how's your dad doing? He goes, he's going good. And he goes, you were right. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, the doctor told him to go to plant-based.
Yep.
And I go,
yeah.
You don't have to do it after you have a heart issue. You can do it before.
Right. It's better to do it before, then you don't have to worry about the heart.
Yeah, and he's like, he goes, dude, everything you said is exactly what the doctor told him.
Yeah.
He goes, I was in the room. He goes, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like you talk about. I mean, there's so much information. There's so many documentaries and so many things about the food that we eat and where it comes from and how it's treated.
Yeah.
And how the animals are treated, that whatever, all that stuff, and just that concept is a whole other thing. But just what's in the food and what you're putting in your body, and there's one of my students. It's funny to talk about the food thing, but one of my students was having, I don't know what, protein bar or some kind of energy thing, and one of the ingredients was propylene glycol, and I was like, "Do you guys know what that is?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "I don't know, it's something, whatever." I said, "Well, in the rink, the liquid that they put in the pipes that runs through the pipes to keep the floor cold enough is propylene glycol." I said, "You're putting that in your body," and they're like, "What?" They just didn't understand it. They didn't get it. I'm like, "Yeah, that's what's running through there to, now it's running through your veins. I mean, not necessarily good." And they're like, "Oh wow, I didn't know that." I'm like, "Yeah, just look it up. Check it out for yourself."
I always tell people, I go, I watch Forks Over Knives.
Yep.
And I always tell people, I go, you can't unsee it.
Right.
No matter what you do, whatever your beliefs are, keep eating meat, do whatever, but you can't unsee that.
Right.
And you can't unsee.
Yeah, there's so many different ones. Like I said, the Game Changers that just came out. Forks Over Knives is a great one.
What the Health?
What the Health? That's amazing. I mean, everybody should watch those. Everybody should watch those just to see them again, because, like you say, you can't unsee it. It's just now it makes you think, hang on a minute, maybe I'll just do a little bit more research myself and see what it's all about. I mean, there's always going to be naysayers that say, whatever.
Well, I always tell people, I go, better's better.
Right.
So if you're eating 27 meals a week of meat-based products, and now you eat 18, your better's better. That's 9 less meals that you ate that you're going to clog your heart and do everything else in your gut and everything else.
Yep.
So if you don't want to switch all the way over, just better's better.
Yeah. So. That's fine. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, hey, sorry, I got off the tangent because I just saw it. I'm like, I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
I think it's really important for kids. My daughter's played lacrosse in high school, and I'd never played lacrosse in my life, so I was a pure spectator. But she went to a tournament when she was in high school, my youngest one, and she ate, instead of eating the donuts and the Gatorades and the sodas and all that at their break in between games, she goes, I ate water and some fruit. And she said it was the best tournament she ever had in her life.
Yeah.
And she goes, and it literally changed the way she ate for, 10 years later, she's still eating good. That's
kind of the thing about it too, is when kids will, especially kids, because a lot of them don't know. I mean, here's my parents gave me this, whatever, that kind of thing. Somebody else was eating this, so I should eat it. Yep. Whatever. But you kind of just give them that little idea to think about it and try something different, try a different thing. And it's like, oh, hang on. Yeah, I really do feel a little bit better, and, you compound that not just one time or two times over the course of every day, how much better you feel just on a regular basis, how much quicker you recover, how much, especially as athletes. I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, there's, I don't know if there's a, Olympic cyclist that lives in this area too. Her name's Dotsie Bausch. She has
I do know that name. Yeah.
Yeah, she's doing an initiative. It's a thing called Switch for Good, and it's all about going away from dairy and ditching dairy.
Yeah,
they have a whole thing about that. And, the idea that dairy is very inflammatory to your body.
That's ridiculous.
And, yeah. So and everybody, of course, back in the day, drink more milk. You got to drink milk. All this stuff gives you healthy bones and this, that, and the other thing. Well, and that's what you believe when you're a kid because that's what mom said to do. And so
and she was told by everybody else that that's what you're supposed to do.
Right, exactly. So you think about it, and then you see all these things, and you watch these movies that we talked about, and the concept that, hang on a minute, it's doing this to my body, and it's not really good for me, and then you try going away from it, and you get away from it, and you feel better, and because your body's not, inflamed all the time, and it's not creating all kinds of, negative feelings. So it's food. I mean, it's anything. You put water in the gas tank of your car, it's not going to go far.
Yeah.
You got to put the things in it to make it work right.
When I got done watching the movies, my dad had some health issues, and that's what I guess got me started on it. And and then you start seeing, the blocked arteries that he had is completely reversible if you eat better. Your body will start repairing itself.
Right. Well, that's really the biggest thing of it all. I mean, when you look at it, you think, food is going to change what's going on inside my body that much that I'm going to be much healthier. It's going to fight off diseases better. It's going to do all this stuff that is going to benefit me in the future and the longevity of my life, to be around, like I said, my dad had a heart issue years ago too. And I mean, they've always been meat and potatoes and, milk, a whole bit.
Yep.
And, get them to try and change and at least change his way of eating with his doctors and whatever else, so I look at that and I go, well, yeah, I'm going to do it too. I'm going to switch my way.
I have the issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And,
so when I got done watching the movie, I went to my wife and I go, I'm just pissed off. It's like, I'm not mad at my parents, but I'm like, we got lied to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Flat out, the Dairy Council and everybody else just flat out lied to us to make more money and help the farmers out and this and that. And it's like, and if I choose to drink milk now, that at least I know.
Right. Well, that's just it.
But don't tell me it's a staple of my diet, and then I find out it's not really.
Right. It's not good for you, and the only reason that they're pushing is because the financial side of it is somebody's getting a benefit somewhere from pushing that product on everybody. So
and then you start seeing the cheese, and you start telling. I told my daughters, I go, they were, God, I want to say they were probably in college when I really started getting involved, and I'm like, I go, I want to apologize, but I didn't know what I didn't know, and I'm telling you now, just do your research. Don't wait 30 years like I had to. And I go, make your own decisions. I don't care what you do, but here's where it's at.
Yeah, food is really a pretty interesting thing. My stepson, our oldest, 15, and he's got a lot of allergies and different things, and we didn't know early on to begin with what it was or what any of it was, and so we had him tested for different allergies and mold and different things or whatever. But one of the biggest ones, things that he was allergic to, was corn.
Oh,
and there's exactly you go to the grocery store, it's a nightmare. Every ingredient on every product
is corn based.
Because corn and everything.
Yeah, fructose, everything.
Just I mean, anything that ends in oats and all of those things. I mean, just the corn. And I mean, after changing his diet to go away from anything that came from a corn product, huge difference.
Yeah.
Lost weight and, wasn't always runny nose and sick and not feeling great, feeling sluggish. I mean, just very, very different. So it kind of and that's what kind of kickstarted us and myself personally on it was, what have I been eating?
Yeah.
That I shouldn't be, what's my body saying? I don't like this. You shouldn't be feeding to me, but you are, so I'm going to make you sick. So,
like I said, if I'm going to eat sugar, which I do, I mean, sugar is my Achilles heel. But at least I know now what it does to my body, how I'm intaking it, how much I'm intaking. You know, I mean,
well, and where you're getting it from.
Yeah,
right.
Just tell me. You know, don't tell me. Oh, Fruit Loops is good for you.
Yeah.
With a cup and a half of milk, you're getting your. It's like, oh my god.
There's no fruit at all in it, and right, and the milk's not good for you to begin with. So it's like double whammy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I grew up on that. I mean, that was
right. Oh yeah, I was the same way.
That's what I said. It's like, can you imagine now? I mean, I don't know what kind of athlete we could have been, not knowing what we know now.
Yeah, well, I look at a lot of these. I mean, these skaters now. I mean, with what they're doing, and different athletes, how they're pushing the envelope in every sport for that matter.
Sure.
And I mean, just the information that they have of food and the training tools and so on and so forth. But the science behind all of it. Not just from athletically what they're doing, but from
physiology,
dietary restrictions. I mean, the different things that they know. They can create a better body for what sport, whatever activity they need to be using it for, and be much better athletes for it.
Totally agree. Well, hey, sorry I got off on that tangent, but I really appreciate it. Because I don't like bringing it up. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where people are like, I mean, I work in the Western industry, so I mean, I work in one of the things we sponsor is the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. And,
there you go.
And it doesn't bother me, but it seems to bother them that I don't eat a lot of meat. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the weird part of it. It's like, I just choose not to.
Yeah. Well, I had some friends that were going to boycott. I think it was Carl's Jr. when they came out. I don't want to say the wrong restaurant. Maybe it was Burger King. One of them was coming out with a plant-based burger.
Yeah, they all kind of have it now, but yeah.
They were going to boycott the restaurant because they came out with a plant-based burger, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, literally, what are you talking about? Like,
that's crazy.
If I don't eat onion rings, am I not going to eat there because they serve onion rings?
Yeah. How dare they offer me an alternative?
Yeah, it's like you can still get all the meat you want there, my friend.
Yeah, right.
So,
that's funny.
Anyways, hey, I'll on my website and on my pages, I'll make sure to put. And you have your own website as well. Are you still using that pretty regularly?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I'll make sure to include all the links so people can just hit the button and go over to you and maybe take a Skype lesson with you if they're not in LA.
Sure. Absolutely. I'm always open to that.
That'd be kind of funny. We'll start abusing the technology.
Yeah. Why not? That's what it's there for, right?
Exactly. Well, hey, I think I caught you at a good time with what's going on. And like I said, I really, really appreciate the extra time that we had to chat today.
Yeah, it's great. And whenever things kind of free up and open up, if you want to come on down to the rink and skate a little bit, come on down anytime.
Or maybe I'll just say hi. I'll let my wife skate, and I'll watch. I don't like the toe picks.
You put hockey skates on. There's no toe picks there.
That's what I did. I always did hockey skates when I'd go. And this last time I went with my wife in Long Beach at a rink there, and she goes, "Try the the figure skating ones." I go, "All right." Oh my God, I fell 3 times.
Yeah, if you go from the hockey to figure, it's bad news. That toe pick's going to get you every time.
Drilled me. I need knee pads now, so I'll just stick with hockey skates.
There you go.
All right, bud. Hey, I appreciate it, and have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.
All right, Todd. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Yep, be safe.
Bye-bye.